This episode of the Nerd Corporation podcast may contain spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Retromania!
We are the Nerd Corporation.
What up, everybody? It's Thursday. You know what that means.
Is it the anniversary of people being bigger and better than MLK?
No.
Oh.
When is that?
I mean, apparently just about every goddamn day.
No. It's podcast day. My name is Eddie Lyon, and I'd fucking feed him after midnight.
Well, of course you would.
I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
Murder. With me, as always, is Derek Reese.
Now I have another reason to hate Christmas.
And Nick Lewis.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Cole couldn't be here with us today. He has the Disneyland mud butt.
It's like regular mud butt, but colorful.
Yeah, and with homeless people.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the 1984 classic Gremlins. Just in time for Halloween. So happy Halloween to all of those. By the time this thing gets put up, it'll be Halloween on the day.
Or Christmas if you watch it late enough.
Yeah, Christmas. Merry
Or,
Christmas.
if you watch it next March, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Hey, if you watch it next September, happy Spanish Heritage Month. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the movie. We mostly talk about like the cast that's in it, some trivia and our favorite parts of the movie. We get into the movie a little bit, but these are movies that everybody's seen. If you haven't seen it by now, spoiler alert. But yeah, let's get started. So the movie was directed by Joe Dante. He directed movies like The Howling, Small Soldiers, the new MacGyver series, Salem. He did some writing for Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
He did some writing for Witches of East End. I mean, this guy's still going pretty strong.
Hell yeah.
It was written by Chris Columbus, not that one.
But the one
Man,
that did
he's
Home
really
Alone.
sticking around too.
That guy definitely stuck around, right?
I mean, interesting. He wrote a movie about a bunch of creatures who try to invade a town.
Yeah.
And take it over.
Sounds strangely familiar. Is
Right?
he, like writing
I'm
down his
sure
notes?
it's not that Chris Columbus.
He wrote a bunch of movies. I mean, of course, the Gremlins sequel, Heartbreak Hotel, Little Nemo.
Oh, that's cool.
The
Yeah.
Goonies 2, Galaxy High School.
He's the one that did Home Alone, right?
Yes, I want to say yes. Isn't it?
I'm not sure. It doesn't
Pretty-
show it
Because
here.
I swear that was on that Movies That Make Us TV
Mhm.
show.
So it's
Oh,
Reckless, Gremlins, The Goonies, Goonies 2, Young Sherlock Holmes, Galaxy High School, Heartbreak Hotel, Little Nemo, Only the Lonely, 9 Months, Gremlins Unleashed.
John Hughes wrote Home Alone. He directed it. That's what I was thinking of.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he helped produce like the the first two Harry Potter movies, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But yeah, that's who that guy is, Chris Columbus. Synopsis for Gremlins would be: a gadget salesman is looking for a special gift for his son and finds one at a store in Chinatown. The shopkeeper is reluctant to sell him the Mogwai, but sells it to him with the warning to never expose him to bright light, water, or to feed him after midnight. All of this happens, and the result is a gang of gremlins that decide to tear up the town on Christmas Eve.
I mean, I don't know that it was like a decision to tear up the town. That's just what they
Right.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't him that sold the
Yeah.
Mogwai, it was his grandson who gave it to him. But I mean that's the synopsis in it.
Yeah, and in terms of actors, we've got Hoyt Axton as the dad, the
Rand
Peltzer.
Peltzer.
entrepreneur, whatever. And then Billy is Zach Galligan, who I don't know what else he's done really.
So Hoyt Axton was also in movies like the Captain Planet and the Planeteers movie.
Nice.
He was Big Ed Baker, Space Case, Buried Alive. He was in, I think, an episode of Growing Pains. If we have listeners that old, they'll remember Growing Pains. I mean, it was, yeah, he did those. And yeah, Zach Galligan is Billy. He was in the second Gremlins, Waxwork and Waxwork 2.
There's like nothing on his list that, I mean, I've heard of stuff that he's been in, but not that I can say that I've seen.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
it's all like very B and C movie. Like there's one called
Dr.
Dad.
Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh,
Oh, he
God.
was in Dr. Quinn Medicine One.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in a TV series called Thank God for Jaundice. I don't.
Nice.
He was in
Nice.
Legion of the Dead,
Oh, okay.
The Tomorrow Man.
There was apparently something called Gremlins: Secrets of the Mogwai. It's like an animated
Oh,
TV series,
Oh, that's cool.
and he was a voice of like one of the henchmen in that.
Oh, that's funny.
huh. Yeah, I mean, we've also, of course, got Corey Feldman.
Yeah, dude. I completely forgot he was in there.
Yep, as the little uh hanger on
Yeah,
of
he
Billy
was like that kid sidekick that just kind of hangs around.
for no for some inexplicable reason. Like, no, it's never even addressed, is it? Like,
Right now,
why
he's
he's around?
just some kid that's in the neighborhood that
He
kind of
just
just
walks
hangs
into
out.
his house and just is
Mhm.
like,
Yeah,
"I
he's just
brought
like,
your
"What's up?"
Christmas tree," and he's just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hey." We've also got the eventual love interest, Phoebe Cates.
Yeah,
Yes.
BB Cates, and I think BB Cates is like the most famous one on this list as far
Well,
as
I mean, if you're
Well,
also including the voices, because we've got Howie Mandel as Gizmo,
oh yeah,
we've got Frank Welker as Stripe, and I think a few of the Mogwais or
also
and or Gremlins.
The other cop is Jonathan Banks, who is
Yeah.
Mike Ehrmantraut from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
And Judge Reinhold's in there as
yeah,
well.
Judge Reinhold, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which he's with in he's in with BB Cates in.
And the Santa Claus, can't forget the Santa
Right.
Claus movie series.
But I mean, yeah, the Mogwais and the Gremlins were probably like the craziest voices, like people like you said, Howie Mandel does Gizmo, Fred Newman, Mark Dodson, Michael Winslow, Peter Cullen,
Tides.
Peter Cullen, Bob Bergen, Michael Sheehan, Bob Holt. I mean, these are all like very like prominent voice people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Wait a minute, hold up. I have a cast list up, and It lists Hulk Hogan.
What?
Huh?
I'm dead serious.
As as who?
It just says Hulk Hogan. It doesn't say anything else.
I'm on the IMDb page and I don't see Hulk Hogan anywhere.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from,
That's weird.
but it's
I
definitely the list because it
Tom
has like the
Bergeron?
Maguire and
Tom Bergeron was the TV news reporter, apparently.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg was the man in the electric wheelchair.
oh wow.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, no Hulk
That's
Hogan.
yeah, I don't know what his face is doing there.
that's funny.
But anyway.
Peter Cullen surprised me a lot.
Yeah, no, that surprised me too.
Like fucking the voice of Optimus Prime, just
Right.
fucking.
Can you imagine that? Maguire, roll out.
Gremlins, assemble.
It's crazy. Who else was in here? Yeah, I think that's like the main cast.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm wondering if there did at any point, like, because it's a few days ago already that I rewatched it. Like, I'm wondering if there's like any point at which somebody's watching like TV and there's a Hulk Hogan wrestling match on or something.
maybe.
No, like maybe.
I don't
That's the
think
only,
so. I just
me
saw it
either.
this morning.
That's
at
the only thing I
base.
can think of.
Just as of this recording, I saw it this morning. So I
Ah,
don't remember there being
weird.
wrestling on TV. And it must have been probably like on one of those shop windows or something.
Could be. Could be.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
It says that he's in Gremlins too.
Hmm.
Huh. What's that smell? Dookie. You've seen that movie that him and Vince McMahon wrote?
No.
Oh, I haven't seen it, but
I-
I know what you're
I've
talking about.
Yeah, I heard about it.
There's this scene where he's like pushing this dude up against the car, and the guy shits himself, I guess, because he's like this, and he's like making this, he's like grimacing at him, and he's
Yeah.
like, then he goes, "What's that smell?"
Brother.
And the dude's holding him, and he's like, "Dookie."
I think I saw a clip of it somewhere.
Yeah, it was in the Vince McMahon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they made that movie just to try and like shun Hulk Hogan from Hollywood so he wouldn't leave.
Yep. It's fucking wild. What did you guys think of the movie? Was your like overall impression of the movie?
I mean, I've always loved this movie.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
I mean, I don't know that because I was 4 when it came out. I don't know that I saw it right off the bat or anything. I'm sure my parents
Damn.
were like, no, this is too crazy for a kid to watch, I assume. But yeah, I mean, I remember I was watching it from a pretty early age, so
Mhm.
probably not much later.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I fucking love this movie. I've always loved this movie. This is like for me, this is kind of like almost like an ET status, like sort of movie, It's
Yeah. No, I get it.
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just kind of more, where that's like a family friendly flick. This is kind of more of like the edgy, you know, teen sort of flick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I mean, this is one of my favorite old movies.
Nice.
I don't remember when I watched this movie, but like it's like in the back of my head that I had seen it before, but I don't remember it having some of like the oh my god parts in it, where like, people are just getting murdered and stuff like that. Like in my mind, I'm picturing it as this kind of just like fun, scary kind of movie or whatever.
Well, and it's funny
Um,
how wild they get with like murdering the gremlins
Oh,
too.
I know, dude. The
The
mom goes
blender,
crazy.
like, dude, that mom was a fucking wrecking crew.
Yeah,
Like,
she
Dude,
was.
she
She
was
didn't
a
give a
bad
fuck.
bitch.
she is a bad bitch.
She did not give a fuck.
She nearly ended the movie early. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
dude. She's like, I got this.
if you would have let her loose on the street, she would have like finished
Oh,
the movie.
it'd have been over.
She was just
It'd have been
Dude,
over.
if you put her in the movie theater at the end with like the free solo from Freebird playing, it would have been so epic.
Yeah.
like Kingsman.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's kind of like how I remembered it in the very back of my head. But yeah, watching it again, I watched it like I couldn't sleep last night. That's why I'm so groggy today. But I watched it while I couldn't sleep, and I was just like, oh, this is like a little bit different than what I remember, but
Yeah.
it was great. Like great movie.
Yeah, I'm the same way. This is one of those movies that like I wouldn't. It's one of those movies that I wouldn't like watch on my own, but if someone had it on like on TV, I'd be like, oh, dope, Gremlins, like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I yeah, this movie's real like nostalgic because it's one of those movies that I would like watch with my cousins and
Mhm.
watch with friends on sleepovers, and you know what I mean. Like
Oh yeah.
it's really fun. It's super funny, and it's got the element of horror, but it really leans into the comedy more, and I like that a lot.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and I like too that it's not even like a Gremlin's driving purpose is not specifically to kill or hurt people.
it's
I
just
mean,
to
if that
indulge.
happens, who cares? But like their driving purpose is just chaos.
Yeah,
Let's just fucking go wild.
they're
And
just
Mhm.
like
these little bullying hedonists. Like that's really all they are.
there's like I want to fuck shit up.
Yeah,
But only if they've eaten after midnight.
right.
Like before then, they're just
Well, I mean, even even prior to that, like I mean, they made very specific points of showing you like, hey, these progeny are a little fucked in the head, like they're
Mhm.
little bastards. Like
Mhm.
oh
even when they
yeah,
were
yeah,
still Mogwai.
because they um cut the cord on his clock so he wouldn't know that it wasn't midnight
Yeah,
or it
they
was
tied
past
the
midnight.
dog up on the porch
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Christmas lights, like all of that.
They're just little fuckers. They're little bullies. That's all they
Yeah.
are. It's just little
They're just
bullies.
little fuckers.
Which makes me wonder, like, is Gizmo that way? But he was just like old and tired. Like, is
He's
Gizmo an asshole and he just is too chill to want to do anything?
right. He's just gotten over that. He's just like over the whole, being a bully thing, being an asshole thing.
Yeah.
Join us on this episode as we discuss, is Gizmo really an asshole?
He's
He's a
just old.
secret asshole.
He's
He's the
he,
shy one.
he's Danny
Yeah.
Glover in Lethal
Too old.
Weapon. He's just
Too
too
old for
old
this
for this
shit.
shit.
Yeah.
That's
Hell
funny.
yeah.
That's funny to think about. Um, what were your guys' favorite parts of the movie?
Um, I mean, I would say like one of my favorite things is just how like almost just in your face this allegory is of like uh just hubris, like, hey, don't do this thing. And they're,
Hey,
granted
don't do that.
the first one was an accident,
Right.
but then they were like, hey, why don't we just keep doing this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just no fucks given. It's just like, what could possibly happen?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
when
So
Pete accidentally spills the glass of water and they see it, like see
yeah.
Gizmo multiply, and then he takes it to his teacher and he's like, "Watch this," and he like drops
Yeah,
water on
I'm
it
like,
like
what the fuck are
purposefully.
you doing?
Yeah,
Right. Like it's just like, hey, they're telling you not to do this shit for certain good reason, and you're
Yeah.
just over there showing your science teacher,
Yeah, just like doo, doo.
like,
Um,
here.
because like, that to me is one of the biggest sort of horror tropes that is in this movie is like, hey, you need to follow rules and be a good human, and if you're not a good human, there will be consequences.
You're
You know
gonna
what I
have
mean?
a bad
You're
time.
gonna have a bad time. But yeah,
Just-
no, just the
Could you
if
just
you're out having
imagine?
premarital sex,
Yeah,
you're gonna get your head chopped off. Like that's
that's the plot of It Follows, basically. But um, could you imagine if Gremlins was just a movie about a kid taking care of his mogwai and
and
everyone
nothing ever goes wrong.
survived? And yeah,
It's just
Come on, let me tell you about my best friend.
um, there's three parts that kind of stand out for me. The first part is definitely the scene where they're um terrorizing the bar, and she's like trying to serve them and trying to like
I
light
do
all
love
three
that.
of the one gremlin's cigarettes, and he keeps backing up because it's a light,
Oh yeah.
and then it shows them doing like all of the like when it shows the one gremlin and he's like sitting alone with the fedora on at the table like he's in an old jazz club.
Walls
I mean,
and
the
bars and
Gremlins,
all of the world.
Yeah,
the Gremlins are genuinely fucking hilarious.
They
yeah,
really are.
And like, I mean, they're even chaotic to the point that they get themselves killed. And you know what I mean? Like it doesn't like there's
like
no
when they're in
sense
the
of even
back playing poker and
self-preservation.
Stripe just like shoots the one gremlin for being
Yeah,
stupid, just
yeah.
like
Like it
that's like a classic like mafia trope, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's
um
just it's so funny that like they have no sense of self-preservation. They're just like, woo! They're woo girls, but
yeah.
like dialed up to 10.
Woohoo! Wee, woohoo! Anytime I think about Woo Girls, I think about that scene in or that one skit in what is it, Robot Chicken? The
Oh.
TLR girl.
Mhm.
Woo woohoo! Woohoo! And they like have to like sedate her, and like as she's being sedated, she's like, woo, woo,
Yeah. um the other two parts I really thought were great was um how it keeps showing the dad Randall, he's like calling home or whatever, and then the third time that he's like on the phone, the robot is behind him on the phone. Like I thought that was so good. That was such a funny part.
Um,
um
I was just gonna say I also do love the soliloquy, I guess, that girl goes off on. What I already forgot her character name. About her dad.
Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, about her dad dying in the chimney.
Oh my god, dude! I don't know why. Like,
it's like, yeah, I
what?
didn't need that. I didn't
What?
need that
No, like
information like at all.
I remember being a kid and listening to that and being like, oh my god, right? I'd
Yeah.
completely forgotten about this movie. Like, this movie was pushed out of my brain for a while. But
I mean,
when
I
she,
forgot about that for sure.
yeah, same. And when she goes into that explanation about how her dad died, I could not stop laughing. I'm
Yeah,
just like, she
Yeah.
that
was just like
shit was so funny.
in the chimney. Like, it was the way that she set it up too. That was just like,
Yeah, like she didn't like it almost sounded less of a sad thing and more of a fucking Christmas. God damn it.
right, right.
Like she was so put out
Oh,
by it.
it's not a big deal, but I'll tell you anyways. It's like
Right.
I know it's funny that you didn't ask, but it's like, yeah, I was watching it. I was like, I didn't need that extra information like at all.
It
Like
was
I
like she was almost like dying to tell the story. Like that's her.
Yeah.
Like, you know how there are people that have just like one story that they tell, and they tell it really well to make
Hmm.
people like them, right? Like that's her story,
Yo, for
right? Because
real.
she could have just been like, yeah, my dad broke his neck coming down the chimney of Santa Claus, but she had a whole setup, and it
Yeah.
was so funny.
And I wonder if they lit a fire that morning too, because they never say.
Oh, that would be so funny. That would be so funny. Well,
Anyway.
no, she does. She says she goes to try to light a fire, and that's when
Oh,
she
did she?
smelled. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
But
Um
I'm
but
so stupid.
my favorite part is when Miss Steagle gets shot out the window, like exaggeratively far,
right, because like
and
they
then
were
just
messing
lands
with
with
they
her
were
chair.
messing with her window, not window, her stair chair or whatever the fuck
It
those
just
things are.
just shot her up like what seemed like it was like 32 flights of stairs, like
Right.
because they just kept using the going up scene, and then she just flew out the window and landed like in front of the two cops, and she's just like ass up in her chair.
They're like, I think that's Mrs. Deagle.
Yeah.
One of my I think I have a couple as well. So the one where the science teacher gets killed by the
Mm.
first gremlin and he's got that syringe in his ass. I don't know why I thought that shit was hilarious. I'm just like, shit, that's fucking funny. When the mom blends the gremlin.
Yeah, that's iconic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just super funny. And I loved the visuals of when the one gremlin falls into the pool at the YMCA. Just like
Yeah.
the lightning and the dry
Yeah.
ice fog that's like being blown everywhere. And
I mean, I love that's I mean, one of my favorite things is just the effects and
because
yeah,
they're all
because it's all
practical.
practical, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Completely practical.
yeah, so it's just great. I fucking love it. I mean, and there's a Mystery Science Theater episode of a show that is I don't know. Well, let's see. I mean, I would think that that would have to be earlier than Gremlins. But it's called Hobgoblins,
Okay.
and it's I mean I don't know exactly when it was made, so it could go either way, but it is so it is such a shit version of Gremlins. It's so funny. It's just
That's great.
absolutely terrible. But anyway, and
Yep.
I every time I watch Gremlins, I can't help but think about that movie.
Yeah. This movie's special. Like it's always been super
Yeah.
special. It's always been one of those movies that like is, it's like Americana at this point. Like it's just,
Oh yeah.
you know,
The get rich quick dad with all
mhm.
these little weird devices and
And it just
things
never worked, right?
and then as soon as the Maguire thing happens, just like cha-ching, dollar signs.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like yeah, that shit was
Judge
wild.
Reinhold was an asshole in this movie.
Yep.
Yeah, he
He's like,
was.
look at you not making any money, you poor bitch.
Right.
Oh,
Guess who almost signed up for unemployment? In my head, I was like, I don't know. Have you been on unemployment? It's pretty fantastic. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty great. You get to
Yeah.
sit at home, you get a little money. Before we get into trivia, we have merch. Redbubble.com/nerdcore podcast. Get our sayings and logos and all kinds of things on from anything from mugs to uh, shower curtains, mouse pads, pillows, shirts, hoodies.
Hey, please do that.
Please do that. it
We'll
almost
get it on some doodads.
it almost sounds like Adam Sandler. Oh, please do that.
Ooh, hippity jibbity.
Oh, please give a heart.
Wow.
We're on TikTok now. Go ahead and search at Nerd Court Podcast and follow us. We follow everybody back. Go ahead and like all of our photos, repost them, comment on them, and say all the things you want to say to us. Because we're a little late to the party, but we're on the TikTok now.
We're old. It's not our fault.
Yeah, we're on the.
We are on the TikToks.
I just learned how to make reels, so it's a thing for me. Yeah, fuck you, Opus Clip. I don't need you in video AI my nuts. We partnered with Dubby. Go to dubby.gg and use promo code NerdCorp for everything, hopefully sidewide. Hopefully, site-wide.
Better not get any complaints.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, you can get 10% off of anything. If you love us and want to support what we do, consider supporting us on PayPal, paypal.me/nerdcore podcast. We want to have the best, give you the best giveaways and give you the best nerdy experience. And that's the best way to do that. Cash App and Venmo coming soon. It's really just me making the thing, just having, because of who I am as a person.
We're not like waiting for anything to like be approved or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like I just haven't done it yet.
Just whenever we get around to it,
Because of who I am as a person, it hasn't happened yet.
Look, this is a fly-by-night operation, right? We're not.
This is the seat of our pants type of gig. I'll get to it when I fucking get.
Shit happens when it happens. All right.
I'll get to it when I get to it.
Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, thanks. Whatever. So trivia. So this all of our trivia comes from IMDb. So shout out to IMDb for the trivia. This one was the thing that I noticed this watch around that I didn't notice back then, because why would I? But the set for Kingston Falls is the same one used for Back to the Future. Yep. Both movies were filmed on the Universal Studios backlot. Yeah. The moment that they showed that like theater and that road coming from the theater, I'm like, oh, that's the Back to the Future backlot.
Yep. I guess this piece of trivia answers my question, so we didn't need to wait long for an answer. But originally, Stripe and Gizmo were the same character. This changed, though, when Steven Spielberg insisted that one of the Gremlins be a good guy with whom the audience could identify. So I guess he is a legitimate good guy. Like that's
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Theory debunked.
Yeah, exactly. It was
busted.
fun. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
The 10 minutes that it did. But but the director expressed that this decision was the reason, like, so he feels like that's why the movie is so fondly remembered, is because of Gizmo, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah, neither do
I think that's a huge part of the reason.
Gizmo's like the main, like, and it's funny because he's in like maybe 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And he is the focal point whenever anybody thinks about Gremlins.
Well, and it's like I said, it's like that ET level of like just sheer goodness and sweetness, and you just love him so much. Mm-hmm. But different from ET, he's cuddly.
Yeah. Yep.
This is one that I was reading that I thought was really funny and would have loved to see in the movie, but there was an earlier attempt to have monkeys play the Gremlins, but that was abandoned because the test monkey panicked when made to wear a gremlin's head.
Well, like, I mean, no fucking shit. Like, are you kidding? Like, what? Why wouldn't they?
Right?
Like, what a fucking, whose idea was that? Like that.
They don't have that kind of thinking to be like, oh, this is just something that I wear.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, hey, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, surprise, surprise. So Zach Galligan recounted in an interview that when the movie was made, there was no CGI. So all of the Gremlins were animatronics, each costing between $30,000 to $40,000. So and like that's 80s money, right? Like that's the equivalent to like $60,000 to $90,000 here,
right?
Like in 2024. But when it was so crazy though, because like when everybody left the lot for the day, security would have everyone open the trunks of their cars to make sure they weren't stolen.
Jesus, that's so wild. So the
Santa no.
This next trivia bit is about the chimney story.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that just real quick, for anybody who's not watched it recently, I'll just give her little chimney speech real quick, just so that that's in your memory when I give this bit of trivia. But so Kate says, the worst thing that ever happened to me was on Christmas. Oh God, it was so horrible. It was Christmas Eve. I was 9 years old. Me and mom were decorating the tree, waiting for Dad to come home from work. A couple hours went by. Dad wasn't home. So Mom called the office. No answer. Christmas Day came and went, and still nothing. So the police began a search. 4 or 5 days went by. Neither of us could eat or sleep. Everything was falling apart. It was snowing outside. The house was freezing, so I went to try to light up the fire. That's when I noticed the smell. The firemen came and broke through the chimney top, and me and Mom were expecting them to pull out a dead cat or a bird, and instead, they pulled out my father. He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He'd been climbing down the chimney, his arms loaded with presents. He was going to surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck. He died instantly. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus. I like that that's how she encapsulates the story, by the way. The thing that fucked her off the most about what happened
Not
is
her dad dying.
that's how she found out there was no
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah.
Not her dad dying. Not that he had been there for forever. It was the fact that she realized that in that moment, there's no Santa Claus.
No.
Oh, fucking amazing. So, on to the trivia piece of this. The Santa speech was so controversial that studio execs were wanting it removed just because they were like, we don't understand. This is too ambiguous. We don't know if this is supposed to be funny or sad. And the director, though, Joe Dante, refused to remove the scene and said that it represented the movie as a whole, which had a combination of horrific and comedic elements. I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
No.
And even Spielberg didn't like the scene, but despite his creative control, he viewed the movie as Dante's project and let him leave it in.
That's good. I'm glad that it's
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Like it was just this whole thing of like the director fighting for it. The studio was like, absolutely not. And the executive producer was like, look, he obviously cares about this scene. I'm going to let him have it. I'm going to let him have it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the movie anyways.
I know.
Right?
This one I'm just kind of looking through like ones to read, and this one made me laugh. Because I didn't pick up on it at the time. But with Mrs. Deagle being the richest lady in town, she had her cats named after different kinds of currency, including kopeck, ruble, peso, drachma, and dollar bill.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And I heard her like calling out for like something bill,
Yeah, dollar
and
bill.
I couldn't hear exactly what she was saying, but I was like,
Yeah, I don't
okay,
think I've ever paid enough attention to it to even
Yeah.
have
Yep. Mhm.
noticed.
Yeah, I noticed it. I didn't notice it in the past, but I noticed
Sure.
it this time.
oh God, where's drachma? Where's drachma?
So this movie and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom are credited with inspiring the MPAA to create the PG-13 rating. So many felt the movies were too violent for a PG rating, but not violent enough for an R. So yeah, we have Gremlins and Indiana Jones to thank for shitty PG-13 versions of movies.
Well, and
Nice.
what's wild about that is like back then it really mattered. Like if you tried to go to a movie that was PG-13 and you weren't 13, like
Mm-hmm.
they were not letting you in. Like that was a huge thing.
Crazy.
Like remember that shit? Like that
Yeah, I
was
remember
so
that shit.
wild. Like
Yeah, like
that
they
was
treated
almost
that shit like it was a fucking
it was almost
porno,
like getting caught driving without a license. Like
right? Like they would have rather you sooner have drugs on you than to be caught sneaking into a PG-13 movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's funny shit.
Nowadays it's like, I don't know, like you buy your ticket online and they don't even check when you walk in half the
I know,
time.
like I've noticed that.
Like
Like they're
like
just like, oh hi, a person here. Well, bye.
80% of the time I walk into a movie theater, I'm like, could I have not paid for this? Like, could I have just
Yeah,
walked in?
for real. Like it's wild.
Um,
Um, it's my turn, Nicholas.
I'm sorry.
So in Cantonese, Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin. The Mandarin pronunciation is Mogui. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the Mandarin pronunciation right, but that's it just says Mogui.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that's right, but
Magui. Mowgli.
Magoo?
Magoo.
Magoo?
Magoo.
I'm sure that, you know, if you didn't already know this, I'm sure this was easy to pick up on, but Gizmo was the inspiration for the late 1990s toy The Furby, a multi-million
Mhm.
selling mechanical stuffed animal.
I
Yeah.
I I was so fucking scared of Furbies back in the day. Bro, those things creeped. No, it wasn't even like funny. Those motherfuckers creeped me the fuck out.
Have you seen videos of them like without like their fur on?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, dude,
yeah, that's
even
creepy as
scarier.
fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, thank you. um, this movie was released on the same day as the first Ghostbusters movie.
Let's see. This one I'm not sure makes sense to me. One of the studio notes to the director and executive producer, so Joe Dante and Steven Spielberg, after seeing the first cut, were that there were too many gremlins. So Spielberg suggested cutting them all out and calling the movie People. I don't know what that last sentence means.
People.
Calling the movie oh, so like instead of calling the movie Gremlins, calling it People because people were like, we don't want all these gremlins.
Is
Yeah.
probably being a dick about it.
He
Yeah.
definitely that was
Well,
that
why don't we
was
just call the movie People?
exactly. That's exactly what he was saying. Okay, fine. We'll just take all the gremlins out and call the movie People. Fuck.
This one's kind of cool. So, in the beginning, as Randall Peltzer is making his way to the shop in Chinatown, you can see a wrecked car with the hood up and smoke coming out of it on the side of the road. That car is an AMC Gremlin. In real life, the AMC
Um
Gremlin logo, which you can see on the gas cap, bore a striking resemblance to the Gremlins in this movie, except for a more grotesque reptilian appearance.
hmm. I thought you said an erect car.
Just a car that's just bricked up on the side of the
He's
road. You
just long and strong and ready to be getting it on.
can see an erect car.
An erect car, hood just up.
Just bow.
Yeah. Little to no actual dialogue for the Gremlins and Mogwai existed in the script. In addition to several instances of on-set rewrites, changing or adding to much of the script, the voiceovers were mostly ad-libs, repeating snippets of just performed dialogue or in reaction to other sound effects or environment. To this end, Howie Mandel recorded Gizmo's lines phonetically for foreign dubs of the movie, where localized dialogue and in jokes helped make this movie successful with audiences worldwide.
Wait, so in foreign countries, is he just like bright light,
Yeah,
like
Well,
as
I mean, I
Gizmo?
think I think I think when they say that he recorded them phonetically, like I think he was just looking at an English representation of what the word is in whatever language.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So he was just like sounding it out based on like he didn't know the languages. He's just like sounding the words out.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The Gizmo puppets were particularly frustrating because they were smaller and thus broke down more. Consequently, to satisfy the crew, and I guess they mean just to make them happy, a scene was included in which the gremlins hang Gizmo on a wall and throw darts at him. This was included on a list that the crew created, known to them as the horrible things to do to Gizmo list.
Oh, poor Gizmo.
Poor,
right.
poor Gizmo.
I love this one. Director Joe Dante still owns the Peltzer Peeler Juicer.
Oh, nice.
37 years later, he listed it for sale to any devout movie prop collector. He stated, with the advice and a little help from some friends of mine, I've attached an NFT that will function as the juicer's certificate of authenticity because blockchain security, yada, yada, something, something, authenticated forever.
That's great.
The original script contained a scene where the Gremlins attack the McDonald's, eating the customers instead of burgers.
That's fantastic.
Could you imagine like them just like taking bits of the customers and putting them into like Big Mac buns and stuff?
Yeah.
Dipping him in ranch and
Well, and sort of along that same vein, um, Chris Columbus's script, of course, like any, went through a number of drafts before a shooting script was finalized. But his original version had the Gremlins killing the dog and cutting off the mom's head and tossing it down the stairs.
What the hell?
These elements were never shot due to the fact that director Joe Dante and Warner Brothers wanted it to be a bit more family friendly.
That's so funny.
not gonna lie, when he went out and saw that Barney was tied up in the lights for a split second, I thought he was dead. Like just his body just hanging there.
That's
Because like,
horrific.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's dark. But I thought they killed the dog and then just like hung him up in the lights, and I was like, bro.
Yeah.
The term gremlin is a neologism popularized by English Norwegian author Roald Dahl, famous for his somewhat dark children's books. His story, Gremlin Lore, about fictitious, mischievous elves that were said to cause unexplained damage on Royal Air Force planes, was commissioned by Walt Disney but was never made.
Miak.
Yeah.
Authentic Bulgarian Miak.
So this one is oh wait, it's your turn. Hi, Eddie.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
fucking skip me.
It's Eddie's turn.
There are many connections to executive producer Steven Spielberg's other popular movie, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. One of the Gremlins says, "Phone home." There is a stuffed E.T. and at the beginning, one of the movies on the marquee is A Boy's Life, which was the fake name under which E.T. the Extraterrestrial shipped to theaters.
Oh, right.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing, A Boy's Life.
Yeah. So think about how wild this would have been. So after watching Tim Burton's earlier short films, Steven Spielberg considered him to direct this movie. Can you imagine Gremlins as a Tim Burton movie?
That'd be so crazy.
Right? But he decided against it because at that time Burton had never done a full-length feature film. So
That's true.
yeah. But like how fucking wild would that, like, because I mean it's already tonally almost a Tim Burton movie as it is.
Right. There would have been just way more stop motion.
Yeah. Like I think that would have been even cooler. Like I think a Tim
I think it
Burton
would have been pretty rad too.
as a Tim Burton movie, that would have been amazing. Like even more so. But
This is an interesting one. So Corey Feldman was added to the movie when Spielberg dropped his character from E.T. in 1982. In both stories, he is the best friend of the boy who has the creature.
Huh.
Interesting.
So he would have been Elliot's best friend in E.T.
That's
Which
cool.
would have made more sense because they are around the same age,
Mhm.
as opposed to this young kid being like a 20-something-year-old kid's
Yeah.
friend for inexplicable reasons. But
That's funny. So the film opened against Ghostbusters, like we said. And while the movie did better in most cities, in New York City, where people were furious about having their traffic disrupted while that picture was being made for all those months, we
they
always
were
did
like,
better
fuck
than
you.
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
We're not watching your goddamn movie.
You're not watching your stupid movies because of all this fucking traffic.
You wasted my time over here. That's so funny. This is just a fun little snippet, fun little tidbit. In the bar scene, the video game the Gremlins playing is Star Wars.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the reason that Billy
all.
hangs out with a 13-year-old is because Corey Feldman was cast before Billy was aged up.
Oh.
Also,
That answers our other question.
Yeah, and then they were just like, who cares?
And also, Billy has a thing for young boys.
Apparently. Apparently. Um, this is. Oh wait, it's Eddie's turn. Fuck.
Stop!
Damn it, Derek.
Stop taking my turn,
I get excited.
guys. He's taking my turn.
Hang on, I'm blurry. Give me a second. I don't know why my camera does this.
So one of the reasons for the no bright lights rule was that in 1984, director Joe Dante and Amblin could not completely navigate the perilous waters and special effects for the Gremlin puppets that well. By keeping them in the dark, this camouflaged this problem. This is an old sci-fi trick. Dante did the same thing with the tricky and lumpy practical effects for The Howling in 1981. 3 years earlier, they kept the monsters in the dark to hide special effects problems. So that's why they couldn't be under bright light. They wrote that in there
Just
so
because
that,
it would look gnarly. You'd be
Yeah,
like, oh
so-
yeah, I can see the zipper.
yeah, like or damn, this thing looks plastic as fuck. Like
Yeah.
that's funny,
Is this a Furby?
right?
So this is really funny. After the film's release, director Joe Dante said, I still have no idea why this picture was successful.
It's so funny. I read somewhere else that that he actually likes the second version, the new batch, better
Oh,
than he likes this
The
one.
second film.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, I like the first one more just because it is the classic one. But the second one is really fucking good. Like, I really enjoyed the second one as well.
Mhm.
I don't think I know I haven't seen the second one yet, but
Well, maybe we should do the second one too.
this one's funny. Phoebe Cates' parents gave her a moped during production, but they took it back after she had numerous crashes on set.
Like,
Dumb bitch.
just give it back.
Yeah. You're not ready.
When Murray, who was played by Dick Miller, said we should have gotten a Zenith. It's a reference to the fact that by the 80s, Zenith was one of the few electronic brands that's still manufactured in the US.
Hmm.
Everything else was already like overseas.
Overseas.
And, like,
Interesting.
It ain't no Kentucky Harvester, that's for sure.
All right, so this one is just hilarious. Because I feel like this is something all of us would point out as well. But Zach Galligan was the first to point out that the don't feed them after midnight rule is ridiculous and silly because it's always after midnight somewhere,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And he says, well, we make fun of all of that stuff in Gremlins 2 anyway, says director Joe Dante. So like they, it's kind of like I like when they do stuff like that, when they make these rules for this universe and like they know that the only place it makes sense is in their story, but even so, they're still nonsense rules. So
Yeah.
I love it when they do
Yeah.
that sort of tongue in cheek, making fun of like stuff that doesn't track. I mean, it's not like the time zone they're in changes anything, It is always after midnight somewhere.
It's true.
That's cool. I like that.
That's like it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right.
Let's see. The film had a budget of 11 million. By the end of its initial US theatrical run, the film ended up being a success at the box office, earning 148 million domestically.
Damn.
Jesus.
Yeah.
A deleted scene shows that Gerald, who is Judge Reinhold's character, was hiding out in a bank vault while the Gremlins ran wild and is losing his sanity.
Good.
Yeah, he deserves it. That son of a bitch.
Right? I hated him so much. I was like, why are you being a dick?
So here's a little bit more context to the monkey idea. So Chris Wallace suggested they use puppets instead of the proposed stop motion idea as a compromise. So the stop motion was the initial idea, which I mean, obviously I would imagine that's why he was even considering Tim Burton to begin with. But then, so as a compromise, the studio suggested a spider monkey in a suit which was tested at director Joe Dante's office. That's when the animal goes crazy, tearing the office apart and defecating everywhere. Dante screamed at the trader to get the animal and then asked Wallace, "So, puppets?" So yeah, it was initially stop motion, went to monkeys, that fell apart, and then went to puppets.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The titles on the theater marquee are an in-joke for producer Steven Spielberg's benefit. The Boy's Life was the working title for E.T.,
Right.
and Watch the Skies was the working title for Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, that's cool.
Joe Dante said, "I think we did this mainly so that when Steven saw the dailies, he'd be happy."
Just give him a little warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
Even though set during Christmas, this movie was released on June 8th in Canada, Turkey, and the USA. In most of Europe and in much of America, the release was in December 1984 to coincide with Christmas.
Well, but they said the USA in the first part too.
Yeah.
So
Europe and much of America.
I mean, maybe I must have been like staggered for some reason. Like some
Yeah.
theaters did it in June and others did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very weird.
So this is kind of funny. During one of the night shoots, problems with the Gremlins puppets were so severe that the entire cast fell asleep on the set during the delay.
That's so funny.
They were just like, let's
Yeah,
take
I
a
guess
nap.
whatever, man. Let's just take a break.
You do. Let me know when things are good. All right. Just...
If you look closely at the sign for Mrs. Deagle's real estate company, you'll notice that it's only open for business 45 minutes a day, which that coincides with, there was one that I was looking at, but it's basically, there was another one that gave the specific times, and I think it's like,
it was like 11:30 to like something else.
Yeah, 11, it's like 10:15 to 11:30
30
or something
or
like
to
that.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on the Deagle real estate sign, the hours of operation are 10:30 to 11:15 Monday through Friday.
That's so funny. Judd Nelson and Emilio Estevez were considered for the role of Billy.
Yikes.
Emilio!
The Mighty Ducks man himself, bro.
Mighty Duck Man, I swear to God.
So this one's great. And explains, a little bit of like why they put this movie out when they did. But originally it was planned for Christmas release, but the movie was rushed into production shortly after WB found out that they had no major competition against Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or Ghostbusters for the summer movie season. So they were like, fuck, we got to compete. Do you have anything? I don't have anything. How about Gremlins?
Yeah, there's a Scottish band called the Mogwai that, obviously took their name from this movie.
Oh, that's cool. Billy says that he bought a comic at Dr. Fantasies. Dr. Fantasy is a nickname for executive producer Frank Marshall. And I don't want to know why.
Yeah, no, please don't tell us why. So the idea for the Gremlins creatures was born in a loft in Manhattan's Garment District that was home to New York University Film School graduate screenwriter Chris Columbus. God, that's a mouthful. New York University Film School graduate screenwriter Chris Columbus. That's goddamn. Anyway.
Make sure you put my entire title in there.
Right? And so he said, by day it was pleasant enough, but at night, what sounded like a platoon of mice would come out, and to hear them skittering around in the blackness was really creepy.
If you ever meet Chris Columbus, you have to be like, "Oh my God, New York
it's New York University Film School graduate screenwriter Chris Columbus."
I thought this one was funny too. Billy was originally more of a typical nerd, and not only traveled around the town with two companions during the madness, the love interest and a bully turned emergency ally, but also wielded a sword. The
Well
love
then.
interest was Phoebe Cates, obviously, and the bully turned ally was Judge Reinhold. But Dante probably thought there were too many characters, so they cut most of Judge Reinhold's bully banker character.
Interesting. I mean, like also we had it was a pretty good balance of good guys and bad guys. Like I don't think you needed to be creating somebody and then giving them an arc to become a good guy. Like it was
Yeah,
fine. Yeah, it was perfectly balanced the way it was.
yeah, yeah. It was fine.
The character of Mrs. Deagle is a nod to the pre-reformed character of Ebenezer Scrooge from the classic Charles Dickens novel, A Christmas Carol.
Oh,
Nice.
I can see it.
Oh, this is kind of funny. I'd never even noticed this. So Chris Columbus, excuse me, New York Film School grad. Where I gotta go back up. I gotta scroll back up here. Here we go.
New York
New
Film
York
School.
University Film
Yeah.
School graduate screenwriter Chris Columbus wrote the script for this movie and directed Home Alone and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. And all three movies have a clip in them of from It's a Wonderful Life. So yeah, he put that in all three movies for some reason.
So
Yeah, that one scene that in Home Alone is burned into my brain where the chick's putting and every time what does she say? Like every time someone dies, an angel gets
No,
its
every
wings.
time a bell rings, an angel
Oh,
gets
yeah.
wings. Yeah.
I mean, the other one is right too. Like if somebody dies, an angel
Yeah.
gets their wings. Like,
Well, unless they go to hell.
yeah. Uh, in Dory's Tavern, a gremlin is shown dancing similar to the main character in the film Flashdance. Funnily enough, the tune playing here, Gremlins Mega Madness, was performed by the same man who brought us Flashdance's Maniac, Michael Cimbello.
Wow.
That's really
Interesting.
cool.
That is way cool.
I'm a maniac, man.
Despite speaking mostly gibberish throughout the film, Gizmo says two fully enunciated sentences at the end of the film. Gizmo says, "Bye, Billy," to Billy after he requests to Mr. Wing to say something to Billy before they leave. And several seconds later, once Mr. Wing and Gizmo are leaving, Gizmo says, "Bye-bye, woof woof," to the Peltzer's dog Barney.
I mean, that's generous calling those full sentences, but
Right? Right.
So this is kind of interesting. Executive producer Steven Spielberg. Thank God it's not, the New York University Film School graduate.
Chris Columbus.
Anyway, so Steven Spielberg changed the design of the Mogwai from moment to moment, greatly upsetting Chris Wallace's workshop. He initially suggested they change the color to brown and white rather than all over brown, then hairless ears, and then he wanted Gizmo to become more of a sidekick to Billy's hero, doubling Chris Wallace's already overstretched workshop. So he's just like meddling. He's just fucking meddling. He's like, no, and then do this, and then ooh, how about this? Ugh. Just like a completely unrelenting, obnoxious boss.
Gizmo watches a movie about a race car driver, which inspires his final battle with Stripe. Oh, it's your turn.
Are we forgetting someone?
Yeah, no, it's your turn.
Oh, snap.
Damn.
We all have messed up.
Hey, Ron.
Uh,
That wasn't an interesting fact.
oh, While recording vocals for the sequence inside Dory's Tavern, the voice actors, including Peter Cullen and Frank Welker, got into character by drinking Budweiser.
All right.
Which is a horrible way to get into character, if you ask me.
Right. After the Twilight Zone movie in 1983, this movie marked the second collaboration of Joe Dante, Michael Fennell, and Steven Spielberg.
So I'm assuming this one means that Gremlins is the last movie. It literally just says the last movie. So anyway, I'm assuming Gremlins was the last movie to be shot on Eastman Color 125T film stock, which was discontinued shortly after this movie finished shooting.
Huh.
Yeah, just a little bit of film history for you.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, going back to the Gremlins dialogue, phone home, a gremlin snarls, disconnecting Billy's call to his mom and mocking E.T. into the bargain.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. Phone home, caca.
Yeah. Gizmo.
Shakaka.
In the first scene where Billy's dad is at the Invention Expo, there's a time machine from the movie The Time Machine in the background. When the scene cuts back to him a few seconds later, it has vanished, indicating it traveled in time.
Whatever. It's just a continuity error, and they're like, no, it
went back in
It time
time.
traveled. Yeah. That's funny. So this is kind of cool, and this is one of the things that I liked about the second movie. So during Gremlins, they were pushing the envelope as far as they could with technology. And it wasn't until Gremlins 2, the new batch, that technology had advanced enough to where they could actually get Gizmo running and dancing, stuff like that. The sets were generally built up off the floor so that the puppeteers could be underneath and operating the puppets and everything. They used marionettes in a couple of scenes, but they weren't great. And Dante explained, good puppetry is an art. When it's done as well as it was in Gremlins, CGI technology can't do it any better. And I mean, like, even now, I would still say that's a pretty, like, that quote holds up.
Dude, the puppetry and stuff in this movie holds up. Like,
yeah,
when they kind of like close in on, when they do the close in shots on like Gizmo's face and he's kind of just like moving around, it's like, oh,
yeah.
And like when the light is shining and you can see like the veins in their ears and stuff like that, it's like, dude, they nailed it.
There are definitely parts where you can see, or that you know logically, like, hey, they only did it this way because they couldn't have done it in another way. Like, you can tell that there are limitations and they're restricted to doing certain things certain ways.
Like,
but
whenever you see the transformed gremlins like walking, then you're just like, oh, okay, yeah. That's clearly puppetry.
Right.
It's really good though. I think that, like, for it being 1980, what's 86?
Yeah, 84.
84. Yeah. I mean, holy shit.
And you know what? If you want to see bad puppetry, go watch that Hobgoblins movie I mentioned earlier, because holy mother of God, it's so amazing.
After adjusting for inflation, this is the second highest grossing film to never reach number one at the box office after Grease.
That's crazy. It was, I think it was only off by like $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So like, had it made like $1 million more, it would have beat Ghostbusters and been at number one.
That's crazy. This is cool. Among others who we've mentioned, but the voice or the voices of the Gremlins were done by Michael Winslow.
Yeah,
So like,
dude from
I mean,
Police
Police.
Academy.
yeah,
Yeah.
Police Academy dude did most. I would bet he did most of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Bro, he could have single-handedly done all the Gremlins. Like,
Yeah,
he
like
could have done the effects for everything too.
yeah.
for real, for real.
Um, Gremlins was originally meant to be a parable warning against importing endangered species, but the studio cut this angle because it feared that it would alienate moviegoers.
Um, this is great. I really like this. So when Gerald in the bar orders a vodka martini, shake, don't stir,
Mhm.
um, in Dory's from Kate.
Mhm.
It's the intent was that it was to be a shout out to James Bond,
Right.
but Judge Reinhold kept screwing up the line. So he, instead of saying shaken not stirred, he kept saying stupid shit like shake don't stir. And they
Mhm.
eventually they were like, you know what, whatever, because they felt that it made Gerald seem even more pretentious and clueless
Right.
simultaneously. So like, yeah, which I think that's definitely the way to go. Like that was perfect.
That's a good one. Um,
Juice, that's a good one.
the educational film shown to the children in school about the heart and the pumping of blood is the Bell Science series film Hemo the Magnificent from 1957. The short was written and directed by Frank Capra, who also directed It's a Wonderful Life, which also appears in the film.
This is Scott Brady's last film. Like this was after this movie, he went into retirement, and so he was in uh shows like Cagney and Lacey, McLean's Law, um, Charlie's Angels. He was in The Littlest Hobo, Super Train, Women in White, The Rockford Files. Like he had a pretty big, like it looks like a big TV career. There are a few movies peppered in there, but yeah, this marked his final uh, film role as the sheriff.
Well, he was pretty
Um,
old, so
Yeah,
who were the Futtermans?
they were
the
the
Kentucky Harvester guy and his wife.
Okay. So check this out, because this actually is another thing that sort of brings me back to Mystery Science because the Futterbins are
It all
played.
comes back to Mystery
It
Science.
does. It really does. They're played by the Futtermans are played by Dick Miller and Jackie Joseph. Miller and Joseph were cast as a married couple specifically because of their frequent acting collaborations in Roger Corman movies. And Roger Corman movies are classic Mystery Science theater fodder. They've done a number of Corman movies like from back in the day that are just they're swell.
they're swell.
It's funny too, now that because when you said who are the Futtermans, I'm like, oh, it's the Kentucky Harvester guy. And then realizing that, he was killed by his own American made machine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I mean, Roger Corman is wild because like I mean he's done stuff like um some of the death races um but like his main thing is like he just makes the most wild fucking movies like you've ever heard of. Like he did Super Gator, he did Dino Shark, Dino Croc versus Super Gator, Sharktopus. Like if it's fucking
Sharktopus.
weird, yeah, if it's fucking weird, Corman is in. Like
Horror movies that I would absolutely watch, in other
yes,
words.
Corman is all about that shit and it's amazing.
That's
But
great.
I
anyway,
also thought it was funny that when Billy was trying to go to work and his bug wouldn't start, and Futterman's over there like, damn foreign cars. He's like, you won't see that happen with American made vehicles. And now it's just like It only happens with American made
Yeah,
vehicles.
right.
For real.
Like, have you driven a Ford?
All right.
No, because it's
Bring
always
us-
broken down.
Right, exactly. All right, Nick, bring us home.
In Chinese culture, the mating season of the traditional Mogwai is actually said to be triggered by rain.
Huh.
So I guess that makes sense why they multiply with water.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Well, I guess from here we go on to our ratings. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Derek, what do you rate this movie?
I mean, like I don't think I can rate it anything other than a 5.
I think, like, had I seen it when I don't remember when I watched it, but I know that I wasn't like a kid when I saw it. But had I seen it as a kid and then recently rewatched it, it would probably hold a lot more significance. But just, having rewatched it just recently, I mean, I would probably give it, at least a 4.5.
Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoyed rewatching it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I give it a 4. It isn't my movies that I used to watch when I was a kid, you know what I mean? My
Mhm.
rotation of movies. And so I feel like rewatching it again really brought back a lot of fond memories, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna watch this movie again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
classic.
my rating is definitely like there's a huge nostalgia factor there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See,
For me.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And for me, the nostalgia is there, but it isn't enough to
right.
give it a 5 for me.
It's not like uh like a cornerstone of like your
Yeah.
nostalgia.
Exactly. Like the coolest thing about this movie for me is that it's in the Universal Studios lot where my favorite movie Back to the Future
Yeah, for
was
real.
filmed, you know what I mean? But so I give it a 4. It's entertaining, it's fun, the practical effects are great and they still hold up. There's still the gross out factor, like when Gizmo's body starts bubbling up and it's all weird and shit.
Yeah.
Like that shit still looks gross as shit. The little incubation process that the gremlins go through is still really weird and gross. But
The
yeah,
pupil stage.
right.
Yeah, the pupil stage.
Um, well, that concludes our episode. We hope you enjoy it. As always, you can follow us on social media
On Facebook at the Nerd Corporation, a podcast.
on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Nerd Court Podcast.
Or if you're 93 years old, you can shoot us an email at nerdcourtpodcast@gmail.com.
And since you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the little bell notification. We want to get into as many nerdy ears as possible, and that's how you help us do it.
And do a little dance and make a little love.
Get down tonight.
Repeat.
If you love us and want to support what we do, consider supporting us on PayPal, paypal.me/nerdcourtpodcast. We want to have the best loot, give you the best giveaways, and give you the best nerdy experience, and that is the best way to do that. So, from all of us here at the Nerd Corporation, we thank you, we love you, and keep it nerdy, y'all.
Peace.
Peace out.